Chairman Schiff, we've been puzzling here over is there any strategic reason you could conceive of for Russia to attack a nuclear power plant?
No, I can't imagine what the thinking is there. I understand, although it's reprehensible, why Putin has been essentially using the nuclear saber rattling tactic to just raise the temperature. But to risk the release of radioactive material to make himself even more a pariah, I can't imagine there's any strategic thinking to it. So I have to imagine that this is more incompetence as well as a willingness to just attack civilian targets, even without knowing what they are.
Yeah, we have to remember this tonight, I think, especially in this coverage. We have seen a great deal of military incompetence on the Russian side, including inoperable trucks because their tires are too old, just kind of stunning situations like that. And so it is entirely possible that that's what's at work here, including a unit kind of operating in a renegade fashion.
You can't exclude the possibility. I think there have been a number of rude surprises that have been coming Putin's way. One of them is really how poor the Russian planning is. Now, maybe part of the reason why the Russian planning is so poor is that Putin is isolated and Putin hasn't wanted to share his thinking with others. And those in his inner circle are probably terrified of contradicting him and even telling him that he was not going to be greeted like a liberator in Ukraine. He's also, I think, been rudely awakened to the strength of sanctions, the degree of Western unity. All of this, Zelensky's leadership must have come as a rude awakening to him. But he has to be really displeased with the performance of his military. And I have to hope, because I don't think he's insane, that attacking a nuclear power plant wasn't on the list of Russian war plans.
We've never had a chairman of the Intelligence Committee have to make the point that I don't think he's insane when referring to a Russian dictator. But that has been an active question. And when I hear you say that, I know that you are briefed at the highest level by the intelligence community on everything about situations like this, Ukraine, Russia, and the mental state of Vladimir Putin. Are you confident in your own are you confident in the intelligence briefings you get on this? And are you confident now in your own understanding of what Vladimir Putin may be capable of?
I think that, Lawrence, the intelligence agencies have been pretty spot on in their assessment of what Putin's plans were, in their disclosure of Putin's false flag operations, Putin's timing. So I have to give them a lot of credit. Tragically, they've gotten this exactly right. In terms of Putin himself, I think we have pretty good visibility. Not perfect, but I think we have pretty good visibility. You can tell, though, just watching open source, that he is isolating himself. In that highly publicized incident where he dresses down the head of his intelligence agency because he wandered off script. You can see how far away from Putin he's requiring people to even sit. And by that display of humiliating one of his top officials, he's basically telling the Russian people that not even his top people are safe from him. But he's also telling his top leaders they dare not contradict him. And I have to think that COVID isolation, the isolation from getting candidate advice from even his top people because they're scared to give it to him, is resulting in a lot of really poor decision makings. But I don't think that's a mental health problem.